Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to a deep dive into something, well, incredibly relatable. Those thoughts in our heads that sometimes hold us back.
Hmm.
We've pulled together a stack of sources, articles, research, some really great notes, and our mission today is basically to guide you through them.
Yeah, pull out the key stuff.
Exactly, pulling out the most important nuggets on understanding and, crucially, overcoming negative thinking and limiting beliefs. Think of it as a shortcut. Getting you well informed on a topic that truly affects everyone.
It really does. It's such an important topic because, well, it shapes pretty much every decision we make, doesn't it? Every interaction.
Absolutely.
And what's great about the material we have is how it flows. It starts with defining these things like what is a limiting belief, really,
Mm-hmm.
and goes all the way through to practical
Which you
strategy.
can actually do.
Right.
Yeah.
And it even touches on the science behind it, which I find fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Why change is actually possible for our brains. So we're looking at it from different angles: psychology, practical advice, the science bit, trying to shed some light on that internal landscape you navigate every day.
So let's start right there then. What exactly are we up against? What is a limiting belief, according to the sources?
Well, fundamentally, it's described as a state of mind or maybe a conviction you hold about yourself that restricts you somehow.
Restricts you.
And the critical part, they're often described as like false accusations you level against yourself, often coming from a place of negativity or fear.
Ah, so it's that inner voice saying, I'm not good enough at X.
Exactly. And then the crucial next step, therefore, I should just avoid X altogether.
Right. The conclusion locks you down.
Precisely. And working alongside these beliefs, you often find negative thought patterns.
Okay, how are those different?
Think of those as that nonstop stream of unspoken thoughts running in the background, the internal chatter.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
It can be positive, it can be negative, but the sources point out if it's predominantly negative, it creates this pessimistic filter. You end up seeing yourself and the world through that lens.
Gotcha. And the sources gave some pretty common examples of the limiting beliefs themselves, didn't they?
They did, yeah. Really relatable ones.
Like, I'm just not good enough for this project, or maybe I'm too old for that role, or I'm too young,
Age comes up a lot.
or I don't have enough time. That's a big one. Enough time to invest in myself, or I'm not smart enough to lead this meeting.
Yeah, ability is a key target.
And things like, I don't have enough experience for this career move. I'll never really be successful. I don't have enough money to enjoy life, that kind of thing.
I'll never be one of the best on the team.
Right. Or I'm not talented enough to get that promotion, or even I'll never be a great leader because I just lack confidence. It seems like they attack everything. Your skills, your age, resources, potential.
They really cover the spectrum.
Mm.
And the impact, according to the material, isn't just personal, it's significant.
How so?
Well, on an individual level, yeah, they absolutely stop you from finding new opportunities, and they can really affect your mental health. That's clear.
Okay.
But the sources also highlight the ripple effect, say, in a workplace. Things like decreased creativity, lower team morale.
Wow.
Yeah, preventing innovation, stifling growth for the person and the whole team. These internal barriers, they sort of become external walls.
That's huge. So where do they even come from? Why do we have these things?
It seems like a mix based on the sources. Part of it might be our brain's basic wiring, that instinct to protect us from pain or what we perceive as a threat.
Like a survival thing.
Sort of, yeah. Fear plays a big role, obviously. Imposter syndrome is mentioned, which is really just a specific kind of limiting belief itself.
Okay.
And past negative experiences, of course. They often start young, these beliefs, and then just get reinforced over time.
Makes sense.
And one interesting point from the sources was this evolutionary angle, that maybe being cautious, a bit skeptical, even analytical things that can sometimes feel like negative thinking might have actually helped our ancestors survive in a pretty dangerous world.
Huh. So a trait that was useful then might be, like, overactive now.
Possibly, yeah. That protective instinct may be amplified in our modern world. So, okay, we know what they are, maybe where they come from, but how do they actually show up, like in the moment?
Yeah, how do you spot them?
This is where the sources talk about cognitive distortions. It's a key concept.
Cognitive distortions sounds technical.
It does, but the idea is pretty straightforward. They're specific, identifiable patterns of, well, faulty or irrational thinking, ways we misinterpret situations.
Okay. Like mental shortcuts that go wrong.
Kind of, yeah. And the crucial thing here, the really important nugget, is that these distortions, not facts, they're just thoughts, specific ways our brain can twist things.
Just thoughts.
But learning to spot them, To actually label them like, that's what I'm doing now, that's incredibly powerful.
Okay, so giving these patterns a name takes away some of their power. Is that the idea?
Exactly. It helps you step back.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the main ones the sources point out?
Yeah, what should we be looking for?
Well, there's black and white thinking. You might hear it called all or nothing thinking.
Okay, extremes.
Yeah, everything's either perfect or a total disaster.
Yeah,
Success or failure, good or bad, no gray areas.
right.
Then there's jumping to conclusions. This one kind of splits in two.
Okay.
There's mind reading, where you just assume you know that other people are thinking negative things about you with no real evidence.
Uh-huh, been there.
And fortune telling, where you predict negative outcomes. You're sure things will go badly before they even happen,
Right, assuming the worst.
which leads nicely into catastrophizing.
Yeah.
That's taking it a step further, assuming the absolute worst, most catastrophic outcome is definitely going to happen, blowing things way out of proportion.
Okay, that sounds familiar too.
Then overgeneralization. You have one bad experience, maybe fail a test, and suddenly it's, I'm terrible at everything, applying one setback to all future situations.
Ouch.
Labeling is similar, but it's about defining yourself negatively based on one event. You make a mistake and think, I'm such a loser.
Instead of I made a mistake.
Exactly. Then you've got should statements. These rigid rules about how you or other people should or ought to act.
Setting yourself up for disappointment.
Totally. Leads to guilt if you break your own rule, or frustration and anger if others don't meet your unspoken shoulds.
Okay.
Emotional reasoning is a big one. That's believing something must be true just because you feel it strongly. I feel really anxious about this presentation, therefore it must be going to go terribly.
Even if you're prepared.
Right, the feeling overrides the facts.
Yeah.
And lastly, personalization and blame. Taking things personally that aren't about you, or blaming yourself for things completely outside your control.
Wow, okay. Hearing them listed like that, you can probably recognize moments where you've done, well, several of those.
Absolutely.
And it really does seem helpful just to be able to pause and say, hang on, that feeling, that thought, that's catastrophizing. Or, okay, I'm doing that black and white thing again. It creates a bit of space, doesn't it?
It really does. It separates you from the pattern.
Hmm.
And understanding that separation, knowing these are just patterns the brain can fall into, that leads us right into the science of why change is actually possible.
Okay, the hopeful part.
Yes. The sources bring up neuroplasticity, which is just this incredible idea.
Right, I've heard of that.
It essentially means your brain isn't fixed, like concrete. It's more like plastic dynamic.
Mm.
It can change, reorganize itself, build new connections all throughout your life.
So it can physically change based on experience.
Yes, in response to experiences, learning, even your thoughts.
Yeah.
The material notes that this kind of passive learning and rewiring happens more easily, perhaps automatically, up until about age 25.
Okay, so what happens after 25? Is it too late?
No, not at all. That's the crucial point. After that, it generally requires more active effort. You have to consciously work at building those new neural pathways.
Yeah.
But the key takeaway, the really empowering thing, is that the capacity for change never disappears.
Yeah.
It is possible at any age.
That's huge.
It is, and it connects really beautifully with another concept from the sources, the growth mindset.
Ah, yes, growth versus fixed mindset.
Exactly. The growth mindset is the belief that your abilities, your talents, even your intelligence, they aren't just fixed traits you're born with. They can be developed.
Oh.
Through dedication, effort, learning from mistakes, trying new strategies. People with this mindset tend to see challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to learn. Failure isn't final, it's feedback.
Okay, so how do neuroplasticity and growth mindset link up?
It's a powerful synergy. Basically, having a growth mindset creates the ideal conditions for neuroplasticity to happen.
How so?
If you believe you can improve, you're much more likely to put in the effort, right? To
Mhm.
tackle challenging things, practice new skills, face fears.
Yeah, you'll try harder if you think it makes a difference.
Precisely. And that active engagement, that effortful practice, is exactly what stimulates your brain to adapt, to form those new connections, those new pathways. So believing you can grow literally fuels the biological process of change in your brain.
Wow, believing makes it so, almost.
Yeah, in a very real neurological sense, yeah.
Oh, okay, this is fantastic. So we know what we're dealing with, the beliefs, the patterns, the distortions. We know our brains can change, especially if we adopt this growth mindset. So the million-dollar question, how do we actually do it? What are the practical steps the sources suggest? What's in the toolkit?
Right, the how-to. And the material offers a really rich toolkit, lots of strategies, and many of them overlap and support each other. We can kind of group them into a few main
Yeah.
areas. The first, and maybe the most fundamental, is awareness and assessment. You just can't change what you don't notice.
Makes sense. Got to see it first.
Exactly. So a key practice here is to identify and write down your negative thoughts or limiting beliefs.
Get them out of your head.
Yes. Onto paper, onto a screen, whatever works. Just externalizing them helps you see them more objectively. They become words, not necessarily truths. It creates distance.
Right.
Journaling is obviously a classic technique mentioned for this. It also helps relieve stress, just getting it out.
I've heard that.
One source even had this interesting sort of paradoxical idea: schedule specific negative thought time.
What, like pencil it in?
Yeah, maybe 10 minutes a day. You deliberately sit down, let yourself think all those negative thoughts, write them down,
Yeah.
and then consciously put them aside for the rest of the day.
Huh. That is interesting, like containing it instead of letting it leak out everywhere.
That seems to be the idea. Give it a designated space, gain some control. Okay, so once you've maybe written them down, the next step is assess their accuracy.
Challenge them.
Yeah, look critically at the thought or belief. Is it really based on solid facts? Or is it maybe more rooted in fear or some old experience? Actively search for evidence for it, but also, crucially, evidence against it.
Be like a detective for your own thoughts.
Exactly. The sources suggest asking yourself useful questions like, what would I tell a friend if they came to me with this exact thought? That can shift perspective.
Oh, that's a good one. We're often kinder to friends than ourselves.
Aren't we just? And if you feel comfortable, maybe even run it by someone you trust, a friend, a colleague. Get an outside objective view.
Okay. And mindfulness came up too, right? How does that fit in?
Yes, mindfulness is key within this awareness piece. It's about learning to observe your thoughts without getting tangled up in them.
Like watching clouds.
That's a classic analogy, yeah. Just notice them passing through your mind without judging them or grabbing onto them. This practice helps you detach. You realize you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts.
Okay.
It changes your relationship with them. The sources stress that the goal isn't necessarily to force thoughts away or stop them trying to suppress thoughts, can actually make them stronger, sometimes called thought rebounding, and increase anxiety.
Right. Don't think of a pink elephant.
Exactly. So instead, you recognize the thought, maybe notice its quality. There's that critical thought again. Ask yourself, is this helpful right now? And then choose whether or not to engage with it.
So awareness, checking the facts, mindfulness to get some distance. Okay. What's next for actually like changing the script in your head?
That brings us to the next big pillar, shifting the dialogue. Once you've spotted a negative thought and questioned its validity, the sources suggest actively challenging and replacing or reframing it.
Okay, so you argue back.
In a way, yes. You challenge its truth directly. Then you consciously create a more helpful, more realistic thought to put in its place.
More realistic, not just like super positive thinking.
Right. The material cautions against jumping to overly positive affirmations if they feel fake or unbelievable, like, I am going to ace this impossible task, might just ring hollow.
Yeah, that might not work.
Instead, aim for something more balanced, maybe more neutral or self-compassionate. Something like, okay, I'll give this my best shot and see what I learn. Or, I have the ability to handle challenges even if it's tough.
Okay, that feels more achievable.
Reframing also involves turning the negative statement around. I'm not good enough could be reframed as, I have valuable skills and I'm capable of learning.
And you should repeat these.
Repeating these new thoughts, these affirmations, even saying them out loud, is a technique mentioned to help embed the new perspective. Make it stick.
Got it.
Another really powerful tool in this area is using the power of questions. Your brain is kind of like a search engine. It tries to answer whatever question you feed it.
Okay.
So if you constantly ask, why is my life so awful? Guess what your brain looks for?
Reasons why it's awful.
Exactly. But if you shift the questions, if you ask things like, what's one small thing I can do right now? Or what can I learn from this situation? Or even, is there anything about this I could actually feel grateful for?
You send your brain looking for solutions, lessons, positives.
Precisely. You direct its focus. And related to this, the sources emphasize practicing positive self-talk rules. The basic one is, don't say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to a friend or someone you care about.
Be kind to yourself.
Be gentle. Be encouraging. Treat yourself like you'd treat someone else going through the same thing. Respond to the negative inner critic with affirmations of your good qualities.
Okay, so actively redirecting that internal conversation. Now, you mentioned gratitude earlier. How does that fit in the toolkit?
Yes, harnessing gratitude. This came up as a really significant strategy. It fits perfectly with shifting your perspective.
So what is gratitude, technically?
It's basically just actively showing appreciation for things, big or small. Noticing the good stuff you have in your life.
And why is that helpful?
Well, the sources list a whole range of benefits. It boosts your mood, apparently releases things like serotonin and dopamine.
Feel-good chemicals?
Right. You can decrease stress hormones, improve sleep, help with focus, boost self-esteem, and it encourages other healthy behaviors too. It fundamentally trains your brain to scan for the positive.
Okay, so how do you practice it?
Several ways mentioned. Mindfulness again, but focused on savoring positive moments. Really tune in with your senses when something enjoyable is happening.
Like really tasting your coffee or
Yeah.
noticing a nice sunset?
Exactly. Then there's keeping a gratitude journal. This is highly recommended. The key is being specific. Don't just list things, add detail. What pleasant sensation did you notice? What moment boosted your mood? Who did you enjoy spending time with and why? Detail helps embed it,
Makes it more real.
definitely. Also, writing notes of appreciation to others or just verbally telling someone thank you, and again, being specific about why you're grateful, what impact they had that's powerful for you and them.
Spreads the positivity.
It does. And one more angle, revisiting and reframing past difficulties. Actively looking for the lessons learned or the unexpected strengths you gained because of that challenge. That cultivates gratitude for your own resilience and your journey.
Wow, that's a deep one. Finding gratitude even in the hard stuff.
It takes practice, but yeah. Okay, so that's awareness, shifting the dialogue, gratitude.
Yeah.
What about like outside factors? Your environment.
Right. Does that play a role?
Absolutely. The sources cover broader actions and environment. This is about consciously managing what you let in.
Like what?
Well, minimize negative influences. That could mean limiting how much negative news you consume or being mindful of social media. It also means identifying people who consistently drain your energy or bring you down.
The energy vampires.
Pretty much. If you can't avoid them entirely, maybe keep interactions brief and focused. And the flip side, of course, is surround yourself with positive people.
Makes sense. Positivity can be contagious.
It really can. Their perspective, their energy can support yours. Maybe even encourage loved ones to join you on this journey if they're open to it.
Okay, what else on the action front?
Some interesting physical things. Pay attention to your posture. Standing tall can actually make you feel more confident. Even forcing a smile can sometimes influence your mood.
The fake it till you make it idea.
A little bit, yeah. Exploring your creative side is another suggestion. Things like drawing, writing, music, pottery, whatever it is. Creative outlets can help you think differently, solve problems, and give you a sense of accomplishment.
Get out of your own head a bit.
Exactly. Setting meaningful goals is also key, even small, achievable ones. Working towards something gives you direction, builds confidence with each step you take.
Creates forward momentum.
Right. And crucially, don't forget to have fun.
Yeah.
Actually schedule time for things you genuinely enjoy. Make space for laughter. It sounds simple, but it's vital for maintaining a positive baseline.
Yeah, easy to let that slide.
One more thing mentioned was practicing coping with criticism, developing assertive ways to handle negative feedback or comments from others. This builds your resilience, your tolerance for potential bumps in the road.
Toughens you up a bit in a healthy way.
Yeah. And finally, sometimes just changing your physical environment helps. Visiting peaceful places, a park, the woods, the beach, or even just imagining a peaceful place can help reset your attitude when you feel stuck.
Wow, that is a really comprehensive toolkit. It definitely sounds like it requires consistent effort, though. This isn't a quick fix.
Oh, absolutely not. And the sources are very clear on that. Changing these deep-seated patterns, these habits of thought, it's a skill. And like any skill learning, an instrument, a sport, it takes time, dedicated practice, and yeah, perseverance. You'll slip up. That's part of it.
So the goal isn't to, like, never have a negative thought again.
Not at all. That's probably unrealistic. Everyone has negative thoughts sometimes. It's part of being human. The goal, as the material suggests, is more about learning to identify them, to manage their influence, and to overcome their limiting effects so they don't dictate your choices or your overall outlook.
Okay, managing them, not eliminating them.
Exactly. And the really good news is, with that consistent practice, it does get easier. Those new, more helpful thought patterns start to become more automatic as you strengthen those neural pathways we talked about.
The brain rewires itself.
It does. And of course, while all these self-help strategies are incredibly powerful, the sources do rightly acknowledge that if these patterns are really deeply ingrained and causing significant distress or disruption in your life, seeking support from a mental health professional, a therapist, a counselor is a very valid and often crucial path to take.
Good point. Sometimes you need extra support.
Definitely.
Okay, so there you have it. We've really dug into the sources today. We looked at what limiting beliefs and negative thoughts actually are, how much they can impact us.
Both personally and beyond.
Yeah. And how they show up as those specific cognitive distortion patterns,
Hmm?
the black and white thinking, the catastrophizing.
Naming patterns.
Exactly. Then the fascinating science showing change is possible, neuroplasticity, the growth mindset.
The hopeful part.
Definitely. And then that whole amazing toolkit of strategies we just covered, identifying thoughts, challenging them, mindfulness, gratitude, shaping your environment, so much practical stuff.
A lot to work with.
A lot to work with. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration, tailored just for you.
It's been great to dive in. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Something the sources really highlight is this interconnectedness.
Hmm.
Our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors, they're all linked.
Yeah.
And we know our brain can change.
Hmm.
So what ripple effects might focusing on just one of these strategies, maybe noticing one distortion pattern today or taking 5 minutes for gratitude, what ripple effects might that one small change start to have in your life starting right now?
Something to think about indeed. We look forward to our next deep dive together.